DBMS Important Questions Part 1. Here, the second question is, explain three-level architecture in DBMS. Or the question can also be asked like, what is data abstraction? Explain the levels of data abstraction. Or the question can be asked like, what is meant by view of data? Explain in detail. For this type of question, first we need to explain the concept of data abstraction. So what is meant by data abstraction? So what is meant by data abstraction? Data abstraction is nothing but hiding the complex structure behind the database. So what is that exactly? So I can say like it's the act of representing essential features without including the background details or explanation. So in electrical terminology, let me take the best example. The example is your switchboard. So what you find on your switchboard? So it's nothing but the just switches, yes or no? So when we switch on anything, the appliance gets on, and if we switch it off, the appliance is going to off. So what is been represented for us, it is only the essential part, that is on off portion, whereas the remaining background wiring and all will be hidden at the back end. So this is the best example that we can give for data abstraction concept in electrical terminology. So same way, the database systems are made up of complex data structures. To ease, or I can say to make the work easier or to make the user interaction easier with the database, what happens is the developers hide the internal irrelevant data for the users. For example, if you being a user looking for the account balance, so you are only bothered about the value that is shown for your account, how much of balance is left in your account. So you are not interested in how the value is in front of you. That means you are not bothered about the complete programming that exists at the back end of the button that is helping you to view the account balance. So your programmers had made your work easy by just providing a button in front of you, and the complete program that is inserted at the back of the button will be executed once you click on it. So what is happening? The abstraction of the complexity has been done to show you your account balance in a straightforward manner. So this is nothing but the data abstraction. So why should we go for data abstraction? So it is to simplify the interaction of the user with the database. So that's why the DBMS hides the data which is not required for the user. So that's what it says. DBMS shows only useful, required, relevant information to the user, hiding the complex info, structure, organization, or irrelevant steps behind. So once the concept of data abstraction is explained, then you have to go for view of data. So this view of data has three different levels based on the data abstraction. The levels are, first one is the physical level. The other name of physical level is called as the internal level. And the second one is the logical level. It is otherwise called as the conceptual level. And the third one is view level, otherwise called as the external level. So let's try to analyze each of these levels in a brief manner but in detail. So this physical level is said to be the lowest level of data abstraction. That means the hiding of complexity is very low. The hiding part is very low, and most of the data is being exposed at this part without any filtration process. So what is exactly happening at this point? Here it describes how the data is actually stored in the database. The complete structure you can analyze in the physical level, or I can say the internal level. So what is it? The structure as well as the access path for accessing the information is completely exposed at the physical level. And This level is kept hidden by the compiler from the programmer, because the programmer is the one who is going to work in the next level, that is the logical level. So all the remaining complexity and the internal structure will be hidden at this particular level from the programmer who is going to work on the designing of the database. So that's why the data is described as a block of storage. That means I can say it is just represented in the form of a block of storage and in the physical level. So let's compare this three levels with the construction of a building. So I assume you thought of constructing a building. The first step that you take at this level is forming a plan. So you will be working on the plan to construct a building. So once your plan is approved, then you keep your building there. So you assign this work to the mason to start the construction. So this mason can be compared with the programmer who is going to work on the basic design or the plan of the database. The next question is, who is going to work in the physical level then? So it is the data admin who is going to work at the physical level. So this data admin interacts with the client and pulls out all the requirements out, and based on the client's requirement he would be framing a schema with all the essential conditions and the constraints in the physical level. The next level is logical level. The other name of logical level is conceptual level. So this level has the middle level of data abstraction. That means medium data abstraction happens in the logical level. As I said, so this programmer is going to work at this particular level after the data admin approves the basic plan of the data schema and forwards it to the programmer. So here it describes what data is to be stored in the database and the relationship among the data, whereas in previous case it was focused on how the data is to be stored. Here it's focusing on what data has to be stored in the database along with creation of the relationship. And data admin use this level to decide what information to be kept visible. So at this particular point, as we have said, there is middle level of abstraction. That means certain portion will be hidden and certain portion will be made visible, and this visibility will be decided by the data admin at the logical level, whereas the programmer works in inserting the data. So the third level and the last level is the view level or the external level. So this is the point where the user comes into action. So user means a common man or you and me who is going to access the data through some application that is designed. Application in the sense you can call it like a web page. A web page is also an application through which you are going to access the data, isn't it? So this is the point where the actual view is being designed for the user's sake. Next, this is the point where the top level of abstraction happens. That means most of the complexity is being hidden, and only the desired and the required portion according to the user command will be shown to the user. So as I said, when I ask the system to give me only the account balance, the relevant information will be shown in front of me in a gunshot manner, hiding the complexity. And that's what it says. It describes only the specific part of the database. What is that specific part? Only the relevant information that was asked by the user. Next, the complexity remains unviewed over here, and at this level we have the application programs which are accessed by the user to retrieve the data, which I have explained just now, and there are many different views for the same data. So this I need to explain. So what is happening? So being a student, you may require some set of data, isn't it? Like it may be marks, it can be your personal details, or it can be your hostel charges, etc. And also only the data that is required for the student will be shown through the application. So when I speak about a faculty should be given access to view the marks of the students, and he or she has to be given chance to enter the marks of the students and look into the personal details of the students, etc. So all this data will be available for the faculty. So what is happening? The view of student is different for the same data, whereas the view of the faculty is different. So coming to the head of the departments. So head of the departments has viability to access the data of the students as well as the faculty who are under them. So what is happening here? The view for the HOD is again changing. HODs are again changing. That means the data is same, but each one has a different view or different way of accessing the data. So different means provided for accessing the data is called as view. That's what different users has different view of same data. Application programs hides the details of the data types, and views can also hide the information for security purpose. The other best advantage of data abstraction is the security. So hiding the complexity even ensures the better security of the data. So this is the overall representation of three-level architecture of the database. The three-level architecture, if you get your question regarding three-level architecture of database, if they ask about data abstraction concept, or if the question is about the view of data, you need to first draw this diagram and then explain the concept of data abstraction, followed by the view of data with all the three levels explained in detail. Hope the concept is clear. Thank you very much.